Hello and welcome to the Startup Operator podcast. I'm Roshan Cariappa. We've had record number of investors participating in India's financial markets since last year. Of course, the Sensex and the Nifty is at an all-time high. In this episode, I spoke to Vineet Patawari, who is the co-founder and CEO of Stockedge and E-learnmarkets that is looking to solve the very important problem of financial literacy in India. In this conversation, we spoke about how Vineet's team is executing on that mission and also a fair bit about markets and investing. This was an interesting conversation and I'm sure you like it. So let's get into it. Here's Vineet Patawari on the Startup Operator podcast. Hey Vineet, welcome to the Startup Operator podcast. Thank you so much for making the time.
Hey, hi Roshan. Thank you so much for having me here. Super excited to talk to you and to your audience.
Yeah, Vineet, I think you operate on a very interesting intersection, right? Which is edtech and then financial services in some sense. And I would love to begin there. You know, when you started out in 2014, 2015, I think the investor mindset was a certain way. And then we're in 2021 and we've seen everything that's happened over the last year, especially when record number of investors have come into the equity markets, most of them directly investing also, a significant portion directly investing. So if you were to compare our awareness then versus our awareness now, if you were to compare the mindset, the expectations of investors 6-7 years back versus what they are right now, how would you sort of compare and contrast these?
Sure, that's a wonderful question. And I think you have answered part of it yourself in your question itself. See, the composition of the financial markets in India have changed drastically. Earlier, the FIIs used to be the biggest, most dominant players in the Indian. If you look at the quantum, they were the biggest. But now, in 2020 onwards, the retail audience has become the biggest. So now if you look at the quantum of the total holdings of NSE listed companies, more than 7% of it is now held by retail individual investors, and around similar amount is by mutual funds also. So, and then there are multiple other players. But the most dominant player in terms of the money, the liquidity which they are bringing in, are the retail individual investors like you and me. This was not the case back in 2016, where it was dominated by big players with big money, the HNIs and the financial institutional investors, right? So things have changed from that perspective. Also, what has happened, the age bracket or the profile which we are talking about has changed. Young investors have flooded the market. Right. One of the primary reason for that is that so many fintech players have started creating, removing the frictions from the market. Earlier, it used to be a very cumbersome exercise to open a demat account with a traditional broker, and it used to scare people to hell that if opening a demat account is something very extremely complicated and investing in stock markets. Now, what has happened is, each fragment of the entire journey of a financial market player has been broken, and there are expertise coming from these fintech players, as you said, right? And then there are edutech players who are educating the masses. So what has happened is, earlier the entire chain of this was managed by a single broker. Now it is broken down, and each part a specialist is taking care of. So you see so many fintech players emerging in the next last 6-7 years. And they are making things easy and making the entry of the newcomers easy and less scary. So that's what has changed, and that's going to stay there, and that's going to grow with the advent of new asset classes like cryptocurrencies. It surprises me to hell that cryptocurrency, in terms of the sheer number of accounts, is bigger than financial markets now. The number says that there are 10 crore, 100 million Indians who are trading in cryptocurrencies. I don't know if that is verified, but that's what the media news says recently. 10 crores. And if you compare it to the number of demat account holders, it will be around 7.5 crores. So there is a big gap, and that has happened in 1 year or 2 years. Suddenly crypto has come and taken a leap. So this is what is new India in terms of the investment scenario. Yeah.
Right. No, I remember in 2009-10, opening a demat account, I had to sign some 18 pages, sat in, one of the traditional brokerage houses, right, and their branch. And it was such a cumbersome thing to even trade. And there was so much of information asymmetry as well, right? As you also mentioned. So I think fintech folks on that front have done extremely well, whether it's Zerodha or Grow or Upstocks. Or I think if you look at the brokerage market itself, I think it's completely flipped, right? I mean, now the top 4 or 5 are all the fintechs, basically. Yeah. So a big part of what you do is also financial literacy, right? And it's a phrase that, we often hear about, but, I would love for you to define that phrase. What does financial literacy mean?
See, financial literacy is basically when a person is able to take financial decisions which can help in, preserving his capital and growing his capital, right? The basic stuffs like what is interest rate, how does your money grow, the power of compounding and things like that, which is very basic financial. What is insurance, what is risk, and so on and so forth. If you look at the numbers, again, they are shocking that in a country like India, where the literacy is around 80%, right? It is touching 80%. The financial literacy, according to a survey by SEBI, says that it's at 27%. So a vast majority of our country, even the literate folks like doctors and engineers, right, they are financially illiterate. That means they are earning money, being actively involved in their profession, but the management of money is completely haywire, right? And in that process, they actually erode their wealth over time. You just mentioned that the fintech folks have done amazing work in terms of removing the information asymmetry. But what information to seek and what to make out of it can be done when you have you have covered your basics of finance, the concepts, then only you can use some information towards that, right?
Yeah.
That's why we started by creating a financial market platform called E-learnmarkets.com. And then we went to Stockedge, which was to remove the information asymmetry, right, which was there in the market with respect to various stocks and sectors and segments of financial markets. Right? So I believe in an investor's journey, the first step is to financially educate themselves and then go towards seeking the right data and information and tools to make the right decision to invest or trade in financial markets.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point, because I think for an investor, for just about anyone else, right, the average Joe, investing and trading are somewhere, a little distant in the curve, right? I mean, you should first start with understanding taxes, inflation, right, and where to sort of park your money, and then figure somewhere along the line, figure investing and trading and stuff, right? On that note, I mean, what do you see as the fundamentals of investing and trading? Because I feel that these two are, kind of different, although they're conflated often, right? Trading is creating capital, investing is growing capital, right, in very basic terms. But, what do you see as fundamentals of both of these?
The two are basically generally defined with respect to time. I believe time is the most crucial factor in creation of wealth with respect to financial markets, right? So that's why they say that the power of compounding only comes with T, which is the time. If you look at the interest rate formula, the compounding interest rate formula, it has got T, on the power. So the more time you give to something, bigger it grows with time because of the power of compounding. But when you are invested for a longer time, that's what is investment, a long time holding. And when you are there for a shorter time and merely for the purpose of speculation, that means you just want to drive the wave. You just want to, if there is momentum, you just want to catch up on that and make some quick bucks, right? That's what is trading. Though trading has got a science behind it, obviously, right? But the point is, trading can be a very good profession to make money, create an income, whereas investing is to create wealth for a long period of time, right? And they are very, very different. If you are involved in something else, right, and you cannot spare too much time, then trading is not for you, because it requires time, it requires patience, and it requires a lot of focus. Whereas investing is something which is less exciting but can create more wealth. You do your due diligence, you do your research, you invest in a company or invest in a cryptocurrency, you invest in mutual fund, whatever, right? And then you stay invested in it for a long time if there are fundamentally everything is correct. And by fundamentally, I mean within a company, the management of it, the product, you created a confidence measure in a particular company because of certain factors. If you are still confident of that, just continue invested in spite of what is the price of that in the market. So the point is to create wealth, create a long-term portfolio, to create income, learn the art of trading, and then start trading. Without learning, if you are doing it, it is basically a gamble.
Right. So, with that background, let's talk about E-learnmarket and Stockedge, right? What was your central thesis behind founding these companies, and how did you go from idea to product to company? Was it that, you just thought that, obviously a lot more investors are going to come into the market and they're going to need a lot more information, and this is a nice way to deliver this through technology in a structured form. Was that the central thesis, or, could you elaborate a little more on that?
So, our assumption, so three of us, we are three co-founders, Vivek Bajaj, Vineet, Patawari, myself, and Vinay Pagaria, my other. We all come from financial market background, right? So we had this one strong assumption, which is unlike most of the existing players at that point of time, that people don't understand financial markets. See, if you look at any media platform or any tool which was available at the time, the data, the information which was there was assuming that you can make sense of that information. Whereas most of the people were actually scared. And that was the reason why there was so poor penetration of financial markets in India, less than 1 or 2%. Even if you look, look at an example for that. If you had watched the recent advertisements which are coming with respect to cryptocurrency, Ranveer Singh was doing an ad which says that Asan hai. The point they want to drive home is it's easy, right? So why are they doing that? Because people were actually scared. This assumption that people don't know. So the first thing is to make them learn aspects of financial market. In Stockedge, the big assumption we took, which made us very different from the other players which were there in the market, was people don't know anything. And at every data point which you give with respect to a company, we have hundreds and hundreds of data points about every company, right? Every information which you give, every ratio which you talk about, you need to define that in the easiest possible way for people to understand it, so that their learning and analyzing goes on simultaneously. If you throw certain terms that this is the MACD or this is the RSI or this is RS, people don't know these things. Don't make assumptions. First, teach them. Even if it's not a learning platform, even if it's just a data or information platform, with every data, you should have clear definition of that data attached, and probably a video, because people don't want to read. So quick video where they can check it. What we tried was kept learning in our DNA in everything we do. And then we defined the user journey. In our user journey, we believe, which is basically an investor's journey, once you have learned the aspects of financial market, you need data and information to analyze and take decisions. Once you have taken a decision, you need to share it with people to get a confirmation, to get a validation. So we are actually creating the third piece, which is social, Stockedge Social, which is a social investing platform. See, especially in India, I've seen that once we decide to invest something, we go to our friends, our uncles, people whom we believe are experts in markets or cryptos. We go and ask them, "Kya karoon? Shall I invest in Reliance, this, that?" Then they give their opinion. So we want to take opinion of everyone, and then finally we, based on the confirmation we get, we try to invest. So third platform is social, which is a collaboration platform where experts will also be there, where individual to expert kind of collaboration can be done. And the fourth piece is you go and transact finally. So you need seamless transaction, where multiple players have done amazing work by making it zero cost and frictionless and seamless technology. All of that is done. So we'll integrate with them. So this is how we went from, defining the problem, creating products around that, and then scaling them up. Yeah.
Right. So how are you growing the business? What is your customer acquisition process like at this point of time? And, what were the early signals that, gave you confidence?
That's a wonderful question. At the beginning, you have to connect a lot of dots, and longer your vision, better it is, So if I say, how am I doing it today, right? What we have done is we started with a service, training people individually. Right, but we started it online. Then we made it into a product, right? Courses which were pre-recorded and stuff like that. I'm just giving you one small example. And then we converted into a platform where now we have 150 plus market experts who are training at elearnmarkets.com. Right. Similarly, on Stockedge, we created various strategies in-house by doing backtests and sharing results. And we created various reports, Now we are inviting experts to do that. So we are converting it into a platform around the tool. And then the third one, which is a platform as a social platform where multiple experts will be there. So this is how we are progressing in terms of our products. In terms of user acquisition, all our products are freemium products where huge amount of content is for free for users to consume, and also to upgrade themselves to a certain level where they will need experts' help in terms of either learning or analysis or collaboration, right? So they need to come to that stage. So we create a lot of content. So content marketing is an extremely crucial part of our overall marketing efforts. And then we use a lot of, because the market is suddenly flooded by so many influencers in financial markets as well, right? So we use them to onboard users on our platform, right? So affiliate marketing, influencer marketing, and content marketing, these are some of the integral piece. Apart from obviously the other channels, we have not, most of it has happened organically, right? And we have bootstrapped so far. We recently took some money from Kotak Securities, and that was basically to change gears and increase the pace from here on. We have almost 2.5 million active users on our platforms, and now we are growing at a good pace.
So you mentioned working with trainers and influencers, right? What is that experience like? I mean, we are seeing that, this content creator has become a micro entrepreneur of sorts, right? I mean, I was talking to, Farid of ShareChat recently, and he was talking about, how these people are really important cogs in the whole wheel, right? So what is your experience like working with these folks?
Colloquially, we tell them, we have this term influencers, but I don't think most of them are actually influencers. They are just content creators, right? And they are creating a lot of content, and most of it, pardon me for saying this, is bullshit. Okay, most of it, right? And that is actually not a very good thing. But again, when you create a lot of content on social media and you know the way it works, then you get a big audience. Then companies like us have to go to these, no offense, but we have to go to them to bring in more people, create awareness about our products and our offerings over there, right? Where we are creating content with a lot of research, a lot of background work goes into it. No offense to anyone, but there are some influencers, some content creators which put in real good hard work, right? I appreciate their amazing work, but it's not always that the most amazing content will have the biggest audience. Right? The biggest audience always, I think, goes to the ones which are very glamorous, which has got that clickbait approach. So yes, we as audience have to be more matured in understanding. We should not always go by what is glittering, because everything that glitters is not always gold. So keep that in mind, and things are good.
Yeah. I mean, on that note, any 2 or 3 influencers that you would recommend?
See, my partner Vivek, right? He himself has now become an influencer. I just tell a few numbers, like on Twitter, he's 2 lakh plus followers. Okay. And YouTube, he'll be around 5 lakh followers. So Vivek Bajaj, he is doing phenomenal. He is creating some amazing content because he has around 15 to 20 years of hardcore financial market expertise. So yes, then we have people like Rachana Ranade, and you have, even Ankur Wariku is doing these days a lot of finance oriented content. So he is good. Pranjal Kamra, he is doing some phenomenal work up there. So these people are doing some good work, and people should follow.
Right. So talk to us about Stockedge Social or Stockedge Club, right? Which is basically a community around investing. That sounds super interesting. I mean, we saw everything that happened on Reddit last year with the whole GameStop phenomena and everything, right? So, and with the retail investors finally having some clout in the markets, what do you think will be the impact of this sort of a social or community investing?
See, this community investing is future. This is going to be extremely powerful in the future, let me tell you. And till date, the power of retail individual investors was so minimal. He was not there in the picture anyway. Now that power will become too much when this collaboration will start happening. And that should be the case, right? And the collaboration will happen through these social media platforms. And when you have dedicated platforms for investment, then it even gives you filtered data, better data, right? And that's what we are trying to do. We started with a captive community called Stockedge Club, where it was a paid service where we have a set of experts who were helping them, and then people were helping each other in making financial decisions, whether related to trading or investing. And they were doing some amazing work by sharing relevant charts, relevant reports, etc. And it was helping everyone. There was win-win for everyone. Now what we are doing is converting it into an open community wherein any expert can come and create their own clubs. So from captive, we are also throwing it open, making it a platform so that we onboard. So we have already 150 to 200 experts who are doing work with us on E-learnmarkets by providing their content. We'll onboard all of them on social. Plus, we'll have more who are talking, who are right now talking on Twitter, LinkedIn, Telegram, WhatsApp, and so on and so forth. We are saying these are not platforms meant for markets or for that matter, finance as a whole. We'll create a platform which is meant for finance and we'll have financial markets integrated in that. So when I say financial markets, it will include stock markets, mutual funds, cryptos and NFTs and so on. And anything which is tradable, we'll include it over there with the data. So around that tool and around that information, people can communicate, people can discuss. And so far we have been trying to create a hypothesis whether what kind of communication will work, or how to spark intelligent communications, how to remove the clutter, useless communication, and all of that have been doing with prototype of around 4,000, 5,000 people. Now we'll throw it open in the next couple of months. That's on our product development life cycle. So we'll do that.
Right. Interesting. So, it's been about 6 years since you started, right? What are some high-level challenges that you are solving as a founder yourself?
See, the challenges keep changing, right? But there are a few challenges which are always common. I'll tell you. One of them is hiring. At different levels, you have to hire different kind of people. For example, at the very beginning, when you are a 5-10 people team and you are hiring, you need to hire people who are ready to do anything and everything for you. You cannot just have one person working on one thing. Yeah, startups are always stressed with terms of resources. So you need to hire people who have multiple skill sets and are ready to do go extra mile to do whatever is required at that point of time. Right now we are 200 people team. So we are changing from a small family kind of structure to a more like a tribe where we need to have processes where specialization so that we can use that specialization across the products and we can remove the duplications. So in short, adding the right kind of folks in the team, that's the biggest challenge. And that's also very exciting challenge because, the work which you need to do for that to attract the right kind of talent, that's pretty exciting. Right? Because I think for a startup, the founder is the magnet, the vision of the founders. That's the magnet around which the talent gets attracted. Right. And you need to communicate that. And for that, we are using social media very, very aggressively so that we acquire the right kind of talent. That's one of the big challenges. And another challenge is for the team, when you grow from, let's say, when you hit a 1 million user kind of landmark, and then you try to scale up from there, you try to increase the pace of working, you do a lot of things which you have not done earlier. The team get exposed to new things like CRM, lead management systems, automated calling, all of that, a customer support service software. So probably every month we evaluate some 100 kind of softwares, right? Mobile marketing platforms, mobile automation platforms, and so on and so forth. Everyone is evaluating what to add to the system. So this overwhelming doing new things which are not done earlier, this is a challenge, and you need to upgrade your team in terms of training, in terms of motivating them to spend more hours in terms of understanding things rather than just trying to get results, right? So at times you need to make them slower their pace and go back to basics and read things and learn the basic stuff which you have not been exposed to so far. So it's an interesting journey. Yes, there are challenges, but interesting.
Yeah, that's hiring is a recurring theme, right? And I love what you mentioned, because I think in the 0 to 1, you shoot first and think later, right? And when you reach a certain scale, I mean, it's important, as you mentioned, to take a step back, look at the why, right? Why are you doing a particular thing? Can there be a better way to do this, right? Instead of just rushing to do something cheaper, faster, better, right? So yeah, that's pretty interesting. So I can't not ask you this question. I mean, you're a financial markets guy, right? So, Sensex at 61K, Nifty at 18K something, right? What is your outlook for 2021 and beyond? I mean, do you think there's a correction, on the cards, or, will we coast in the same manner that we are we're right now at?
See, we'll be on this roller coaster ride for some more time, I believe. There will be small corrections here and there, but this wave will continue, right? Especially till we have this low interest rate regime where people don't have an option to invest anywhere else but in financial markets.
Yeah.
The rate of interest for any kind of instrument, FDs, PFs, etc., are all around inflation levels. So you are actually not growing your money by putting your money in any of these instruments, right? So enormous amount of liquidity is getting pumped into financial markets. And this is going to stay for at least a couple of quarters more, right? Till quantitative easing, they start tightening that and the money starts flowing, that reduces. So at least a couple of more quarters, we will see uptrend, and then probably we'll see some corrections. But in longer term, right, it's extremely, we are in a country which is going to get advantage because of what is happening globally, especially with respect to China. And we can see 1 lakh Sensex hitting 1 lakh somewhere in next 2 to 3 years. So we should be prepared for that.
Wonderful. So, before I let you go, what are some books or podcasts that you would recommend?
Book. See, since there are a lot of people, as I said, the financial literacy is very poor. So I'll request all my friends from the startup community. There is one book which they should read if they have not yet read, is The Psychology of Money. Right? That's an amazing
Morgan
book
Housel.
by Morgan Housel. Right? And they should ask every teenager they know in their family. For my colleagues, I have made that as a compulsory read, that from the very early age you need to understand the psychology of money. It's more about mindset. I always tell people that, and being a financial market educator also, I say this, that people spend all the time in improving their rate of return. Right? The more you want to learn about investment trading, it's all to improve your CAGR, compounded annual growth rate, which you are trying to create. But no one focuses on the savings. The principal which you invest is equal to the savings which you do with the income which you generate, right? So people are not focusing on that. Focus on the savings. Focus on the time you stay invested. If you want to get excited, as they say, if you want to get excited, go for a ride, do things which gives you excitement. If you want to create a wealth, then investment is not exciting, boring, right? Because it takes a lot of time. Right? So give that time. Time is more important than the rate of return. Even if your rate of return is a little lesser, the time will compensate for that. Right? So yes, this book, The Psychology of Money, is a must read. It's a very simple, fast, and everyone should read it.
Right. That's a great note to end the podcast on, Vineet. Thank you so much for making the time, and wish you all the best for everything that you have coming up with, Stockedge and E-learnmarkets.
Thank you, Roshan. It was wonderful talking to you.
Thank you so much for listening. If you liked this episode, then don't forget to subscribe to us on your favorite platform and share this episode with all of your fellow startup operators. Also, follow the Startup Operator on LinkedIn and Twitter for more updates. Stay safe, take care, and see you soon on a brand new episode of the Startup Operator.